Hi friends, it's Becky, and I just got my Mayflowers 2 companion bundle from Bead Box Bargains. Now, Bargain Bead Box is a monthly bead subscription that I've already done my unboxing with and done a project with. I'll put a link to both of those things in the description below if you would like to check them out. But they also once a month, they will gather some beads and findings and things from the sister store, Bead Box Bargains, and put them together in a bundle, just as something to enhance or add to your bargain bead box. And so this is the companion bundle, and I just got it. I'm going to be opening it up, looking at the beads, and organizing it into my 15 grid organizer. And also, there's a couple of beads in here that folks have been finding a little bit challenging to use. So I'm going to be using some of the center drilled beads that are in this bundle at the end of this to make a bracelet, just to give you some inspiration on one of the ways to use this kind of challenging material as a part of your projects and how you're doing things. So let's get started. Let's open this up and take a look at what we've got in here. All right. It's very pink. This is very much like they went like all in on pink with this, but there's some other colors that they've added. Some really soft yellows. There's so much of the gold. These are the ones that I was talking about, the challenging ones. I believe these butterflies are also center drilled. So we'll do a little bracelet with those at the end of this. And if you'd rather not sit through all of the unboxing and organizing and just jump to that tutorial, I will put a timestamp in the description so that you can just jump right to that if you'd like. But if you'd like to stick around and see what we do and have me ooh and ah over these, then we are going to do that today as well. All right. Now I am trying to find the... There it is. They did do a little list on the companion bundle. And keep in mind that while the bundle may be sold out, individual items in here may still be available for purchase. So we'll take a look at each of them. Oh, they are actually labeled. I don't have to read from the thing, but you can find information in here as to which ones of these are going to be nickel free. They also do lead free, cadmium free. A lot of the connectors are going to be nickel free in here. Some of the pendants aren't, but there are a lot that are, especially those the floral rectangle ones. My sister was really excited about that. She actually got like 4 more of them from the site. So let's just start from the biggest then, since they are all labeled and I don't have to read from that list. I love, love, love these dyed agate. It's the magenta color. It's a 14.5-inch strand, so it's a lot of beads, and they are the 8mm beads. Let's bring them up here so you can get a good look at that color. So pretty. I love that. Some of my favorite ones especially are these ones where, because it's that agate, you get some stripes and banding in the bead. It's not in all of them, but those are some of my favorites. Because these are sort of larger beads and it's a longer strand, we're probably going to have to open up one of these to get them to fit in here. I'm going to try without doing that, just to see, because I've been surprised before. But let's get these organized. I'll also have a link to my favorite organizers if you want to try them out. I have had so many of my friends here on this channel who've let me know that they love using these organizers too, since they first saw me using them. And yeah, we've got a lot of them. So I'm just going to open up this section and let these guys flow in there so they can all fit. That'll be lovely. I'm trying to... My lights have been weird lately. Like too many shadows. Not my favorite lighting situation. That's all right. All right, and then the next, these are super pretty. These are crackled glass 10mm beads. This is a 6.5-inch strand, so I bet it will fit in one section without me having to lower that out. This light pink is super pretty. That's like a ballerina pink. Let's undo the loop on the end. Get these guys in here. And it looks like this little bead is going to go over and visit its neighbor for a little while because I don't want to open up a whole section just for one bead. All right. And then we've got some more of this is actually dyed quartz. It's not the dyed agate, but it is still that beautiful magenta color. This is 7 inches, and these are 6 millimeters in size. Oop, looks like I just cut the thread that was poking off and not the knot. There we go. The knot is coming undone. That's a very hot pink cord that is on. There we go. We've also got these. I love faceted cubes. These are 6 millimeter Malaysia jade, same as this. Faceted cubes, there are 6 inches of these. And let's get them on here. Actually, I'm going to snip this so that we get that hot pink out of the way while we look at the color of these beads. There we go. And I'm also going to do a little wiggle so we get some sparkle from the lights. Love those. Here's some other large gemstone beads. This is 8 millimeter amethyst rounds, 7.5 inches. And these are just that really light amethyst. Super sweet, beautiful lilac color that we get from that. Hold on to the strand, Becky. They're so pretty. All right, now let's get into some of our glass and crystal beads. Crackled crystal faceted rounds in marbled pink AB, 7 inches for this one. Let's talk about sparkle though, because look at that sparkle. That's super pretty. Love that. Hey friends, where are you going? Right, now we've got some 4 millimeter crystal faceted bicones in light rose. There are 12 inches of these. And that light rose is such a beautiful, perfect pink. Let's stick it over here next to my crackle glass. And then these flowers that we were talking about, this is magenta ombre, and it is a 10-piece, 15mm glass flower beads. They've got this sort of gold sheen on them as well. A couple of them are facing downward, like these two, and then these ones are facing upward, and some of them are different colors, like these are lighter, these are darker. This has both colors on it, but you can see that hole right in the center of it. And so many of our friends have expressed a little bit of wonder at how you could possibly use this in a design. So I'm going to be making a bracelet with these after we get this unboxed. And this is another one that has a hole in the center that might be a little more difficult to work with. 10-piece 7mm in lavender ombre. And they are these beautiful butterflies. So look how pretty those are. And again, they've got that hole right in the center of them. And there are a lot of ways that you could use them, using some beading thread and a seed bead or something like that. I think there might even have been some YouTubers that have done some videos with that. And so you could look and see if you can find those as well. All right, these, we've got some glass petal beads in deep sea green. It's 10 of these. Pretty is that. I love when you pair like pink and green together. We had pink and green in the Bargain Bead box as well. I'm going to just, for reference, pull that one out just so you can see where we're going with that. Oh, we have some more gemstones. These are yellow quartz faceted rounds, 4mm in size, and there are 15 inches of this. Here it is on the strand, and because they're fairly small beads and it's not super tightly strung, I can just leave it on the strand while I put it in here because it's going to be a little bit easier for me to work with it from the strand. So we've got that like that. All right, let's look at some of the pendants, links, and other findings. This is so pretty. It is Malaysia jade, again dyed quartz. It's an oval pendant that is 35 by 16mm in size. Look how pretty that is. Because this is not nickel free, my sister is actually sending me hers, so I might have some earrings with some big old Malaysia jade bits in there. I'm gonna put my pendants in here. And we've got these enameled flower charms in varied purple. They're 15 by 12mm in size. And let me just check the yeah, it doesn't say on here whether they are, so we just assume because that's the safest thing to do. But aren't they pretty? That's the back side, the front side. I love this one. This is a gold-plated brass and cubic zirconia round pendant with a butterfly on it. Look how pretty that is. I actually got another bundle from Bead Box Bargains, the Butterfly Garden Bundle. When did I get it? It was last month or something. And I've already used it to do a bracelet during one of my lives, but I also got this pendant there. So they might have more of these. You never know. All right, and then we've got this pendant. I really like this pendant could make a lot of different necklaces with this. This is 18 karat gold, 26 by 21 gold plated cubic zirconia and brass pendant. That's the back side. And that's the front side. Go. And these are some flower links. They're lead-free, nickel-free, cadmium-free. There are 10 pieces of them, and they're 12 millimeters in size. We've got some backs and fronts on there. It's kind of a yellowy yellow gold. That's okay because a lot of these other findings are also that yellowy yellow gold too. We have some flower spacer beads. These are also nickel free. 20 pieces of them, and they are 7 millimeters in size. Are these pretty? I love them. We're probably going to be using these in our bracelet design, just spoiler alert. And probably this one too. This is a magnetic clasp, and it is a 14 karat gold flower magnetic clasp. And it's one that it's got a little latch on it, so it won't slide apart on you. You have to pull it apart. So that is going to be very secure for a bracelet. Really good clasp to use for that. I'm going to stick it right here with these for right now. And this is the one that I did a necklace with, the one that came in the Bargain Bead box. It was super simple, but also just really pretty, and I really enjoyed making that. That's this one. And so we got it again. Lauren said she just loved it so much she wanted to put it in the companion bundle. And again, my sister loves it as well, so she got some extras to be able to make some things for my mom and for her. So put that in there. So many pendants that they are almost full in there. And now I've got some bead caps. These are 7 millimeter dotted petal bead caps. I really like these. But I think I'm going to move these guys over here with my green bits, because I'm going to run out of room for my findings. All right. So you've got some that are upside down and some that are right side up, so you can get a better look at these bead caps over there. And then we've got some 4 millimeter spacer beads. These are fairly hefty spacer beads. They do not feel like those ones that are like really light and hollow. They have some heft to them. All right. Actually put them in here with these bead caps. Give that a little stir so that I know that I've got both of those in there. I like being able to see both things when we have a roommate situation. And last but not least, we've got some articulated links. These are 48 by 15 millimeters. These are also nickel free, by the way. They're 18 karat gold plated brass. And you can actually, the links are not closed, so you can unlink these and have each of these flowers be like a dangle or something, or a charm in a charm bracelet. You could have each of them dangling separately, or you can keep them connected as an articulated link in a design. They're really pretty, super pretty. I'm going to put these in with these connectors. All right, so that is the bundle. So let's take a look at that. The entire bundle. Let me actually move a couple of these things out of the way so you can see everything that came in here a little bit better. It's a pretty full box. Just pull out that Bargain Bead box. I will do one of my favorite types of videos is to take the Bargain Bead box and the companion bundle and do a video where I make a set with this and a set with that. So we'll do that probably either next week or the week after. But I think that they are super complementary to each other. And you can see this is leaning less pink and this is leaning more pink, and I don't have a problem with that because I love pink. So it makes me very happy. And in fact, actually, I think this pink is going to go a little bit better. Maybe no. I don't know. Ooh, but these might. I don't know, with that peach spot that I've got on my pendant that I got with this one. So we've got both of these. And I'm going to put this away for now, and I'm going to keep this one out and pull out these beads with the center hole. And let's just make a simple bracelet with it. And I say simple, but it is. It's fairly simple once you get started with it. I'm going to pull some of those out, pull some of these butterflies out. And this is going to be the kind of design that really highlights how much fun you can have using colored beading wire as a design element, because that is really going to be what makes this work for us in this design. So I've got these guys out. Let me pull out the clasp and these spacers here, the rose spacers. Let's use them. You could do a different bead instead of these spacers, or you could do these spacers instead of these ones. It would be up to you which way you'd want to do it. So I'm just going to close that up, move this aside, and make a decision as to which color beading wire I want to use with this. So if I'm really going to have fun with it, maybe I would use a beading wire that is a completely different color, or I could use a wire that sort of brings in one of these colors out here, like maybe this pink or purple. You could go for something that was the color of the metal that we're using. Or maybe something that is maybe like a light green in the background. I don't know. It's one of those how do I feel about it sort of situations. While I'm trying to decide on which color wire I want to use. You know, maybe this, yeah. It's a really soft green. It's not super bright. I do have a brighter green, but it's not in production anymore, so I've been saving it for special occasions. And yeah, this might qualify as a special occasion. You'd never know. But yeah, let's grab that. I've got some crimps for this, and I've got a crimping pliers and a flush cutter to cut my wire. And actually, this is going to be perfect. So let me get some wire off of here. I'm going to be folding my wire in half and using 2 strands at the same time. So I also want there to be some play because it's going to be crisscrossing. So I'm going to hold this right here, go around my wrist 1, 2, 3 times, just to give myself enough extra wire to do everything that I need it to do. I'm okay with having a little bit of wire left over because I always am able to use a little bit like extra cutoffs from my wire when I'm making things for other purposes. So now that I've got my wire here, I am going to put one end of my clasp on here, and it looks like the clasp doesn't matter which side faces out and which side doesn't. We're going to have to decide which side faces out as part of this design though, and stick with it. But I've got both of my ends together, and I'm just dropping this down to the middle for one end. And then I'm going to crimp that clasp in place using one of these 2x2 crimp tubes. My preferred method of crimping is using a magical crimper. You can do taco crimps with these crimps. You could flat crimp it. I personally don't like flat crimps. I don't feel like they're very secure, but a taco crimp or a manual or a magical crimper will do the same kind of a job to be able to hold the wire in place. So I'm just going to put both ends of this wire through my crimp, slide it down the bottom next to that loop, right there. And I'm going to get my crimp on, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and talk you through this in case you've never seen a magical crimper in use before. There's this little concavity in here, you can see. I'm going to be centering this crimp into that concavity before I squeeze it, and it's always tricky doing this with a magnetic clasp because the clasp likes to hang on to what you're doing. So see, it's centered before I even squeeze it, and then I give it a little smush, and you don't have to manhandle this, and it just kind of makes a little pillow, maybe not a pillow, more like a stop friend ravioli shape. And then I turn it to its side to a 90-degree angle, make sure it's centered, and then give it another smush. And now it's looking all wonky and misshapen, so I'm going to keep going and go at it from another angle, make sure it's centered, give it another smush, and just keep going around at different angles. And each time you do that, I know I'm fighting this magnetic clasp so much. It smooths out those corners, those rough corners, and gives you a nice solid ball of crimp. That's very strong. So that's why I like doing that. All right, I'm going to grab one of these spacers, and I'm going to put both ends of my wire through this spacer. And now the reason I chose colored wire is because I want the wire to show. It's an essential part of this design. So now I'm going to, now that I've got that there, I am going to take one of these flowers, and I'm going to go through from the back to the front with one of my wires, and front to back with the other wire. So it crisscrosses. And pull that along, and I want to adjust it so that it sits on the wire. So now when you wear it, the flower will be facing out. So next step is to put another spacer on in between there. All right. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the butterfly. Which side is the front? Which side is the back? Okay, so that's the back, and that's the front. All right, that's important for me to know because I'm going to grab the butterfly. I'm going to do the same thing from the back to the front with one of my wires, and then from the front to the back with the other one going through that hole in the center. And slide it down gently. There you go. And bring them together. Put on another spacer. And that went opposite of the way I wanted it to go. Or did it? All right, I'm going to turn that around because I want them to face the same way. This is something that you can adjust each time you add one of these beads to your bracelet. Bring these together. So see, this is one way that you can use these beads. Can make it a flirty and fun little design like that. So I'm just going to keep going. And then when I've got it at the right length, we will crimp the other end to this part of the magnetic clasp. So let's just keep this going. There we go. Back to front, front to back. Okay. These beads would actually be fun to do as a ring, I think. I could see doing it like that. So next a spacer and then a butterfly. How fun is that? All right, let me finish this up and I will come back to you when it's at the correct length and I'll show you how to finish it. All right, so it is now long enough for me to be able to attach the clasp. I'll show you where you can find that out if you try it on a little bit. And there's enough room over here to be able to attach a little loop to the end of the clasp and still have it fit comfortably. And that's going to be long enough for you there. Or if you use a bracelet mandrel and make sure it fits the right size, while you have about this much of your wire sitting out on that side. So I'm going to be making a little loop on this side with my crimp. Okay. I want to take that other side of my clasp to be able to attach that to. And that's going to be going that way, so let's attach it that way. Okay, perfect. All right. Put my crimp on both wires. Slide that down. Then I'm going to take one of my wires, and I'm going to go through this clasp and then back through that crimp. That way. I don't want that to go through there. Nope. I want there to still be some play in there. I don't want this to be super tight because then it sort of ruins the flow of this kind of bracelet. Just tight enough, but not too tight. I'm going to close that up. So I've got one wire going straight there, one wire that curves back on itself. So I've got 3 passing through. Hello, autofocus. There we go. 3 passing through that crimp. And I'm going to go ahead and do my crimping. And I'm going to do it exactly the same way as the first one. Make sure it's centered, give myself a squish, make my little ravioli / pillow shape. Center it at a 90-degree angle. Center it at another angle, and just keep going around at different angles, giving it smushes until all of those edges are smoothed out and you have a nice round ball of crimp. And I've got some extra wire sticking out here and here. There we go. Now I've got my bracelet with all of my flowers and butterflies visible. Let's put it on so you can see it. Might have to adjust it as you're putting it on. And once they're all turned the right way. Come on, magnet. There you go. Oh, that's why you don't want it to be too tight. There we go. It's super pretty, super floral, and pretty easy to make. You just need to have some colored beading wire, or not be afraid for your wire to show. There you go. And that's just, as I said, one of the ways that you can use those. So if you're having some trouble thinking of something, please feel free to follow this tutorial and make yourself a pretty little floral bracelet. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like with different colors of wire instead of that light green as something else. You could probably even make some earrings to go with it. Maybe. Doing something like this with one of these guys. And then I don't know, I'm just playing around right now. I might edit this out if it doesn't work. Sometimes you can edit things. Let's do a little earring, make a little loop up here at the top. Where's my crimps? Yeah, I think I'm actually going to do that. I'll have some earrings too. I left one of these longer on purpose so that I could bend it back. And this is just the extra wire that I had left from my bracelet, by the way. That's another reason why I'm not super worried when I'm going to measure out my wire with if it's too much wire. I don't think there's such a thing as too much wire sometimes. I mean, if I use the whole spool maybe. But just a little bit of extra, that's fine. I had enough that I can make some earrings out of this. And if my loop is turned that way, that's totally fine because I can This is a little bit awkward to try and get centered between these butterfly wings. I should have thought about that before I got started, but I can work around it. There you go. So I've got a little loop that I can attach to some ear wires, and because they are sort of facing a different way than I usually have my ear wires facing, I'll probably use a little jump ring or something to reorient it the right way. But you could do that, or you could use it as a little charm or something like that. So that's just another option, sort of the same concept of the way that I've done it with the bracelet. But hopefully that gives you a little bit of inspiration for ways that you can use these beads. Until next time, my friends, happy beading.